Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? This the number one Chief Rocker in Nick's Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezy. Man, this is tough, man. This is tough. I find myself when I heard the news of Willis Reed passing away, it put me in a mindset where I felt like immediately upon hearing the news, it put me in a mindset of where would Uncle Freezy be without Willis Reed? It put me in that question space of where would Uncle Freezy be without Willis Reed? Right. Shout out to the chat. Mr. Vince is in the building. Mr. Vince, what's good, man? I see you. How you doing, brother? Pudge Nice in the building. Will Salkin, what's good, man? Cover the Spread is in the building. Salute to Knicks for Life that texted me the news. Salute to the people that was calling me all day. Phone battery about to die. Salute Adam. Adam, I saw you, man. When you called me, I was eating. I had fasted. When you called me, man, I was eating. I actually fasted from midnight Saturday until 12 o'clock today. So I went about 60 hours without eating. I was fasting, man, just water only. So when you called me, I was stuffing my face. So Adam, when you called me, I was stuffing my face, man. I had to let that call go by because I was stuffing my face. So shout out to the chat. King Ribby, what's good, man? I see you. Drip Moore is in the building. David L. Ed Winning, what's good? What's good, y'all? So when I heard about the news about Willis Reed, it immediately put me in the mindset. And I tell this story all the time, right? Right. I tell this story all the time. My first true love in this respect is sports, right? And then it's basketball, baseball, and boxing, right? And then in any particular order on any given day, if you ask me which one I prefer more, you'll get one of those three answers based on the moment. Right? Allah Wise is in the building. What's good, boss man? But the reason why I start out with this as opposed to reading stats about Willis Reed is because over the next few days, and it's probably already started, like people are going to get on the internet and talk about stats and accomplishments and things of that sort. And while that is important, it gives no justice to who Willis Reed is for us. Not was, but who Willis Reed is for the old school Knicks fans. Right? I'm talking about old school, right? Knicks for Life. What's good, boss? Thank you for that text, bro. Thank you for that text, man. I appreciate that. I ain't gonna lie. I came off the fast. I came off the fast, right? And you know how it is with a fast. You know how you go through the long hunger spell. You're like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then I ate like something little and got the itis. I think I ate a grape and just, you know what I'm saying? I think I may have eaten maybe a raisin and it gave me the itis. I was like, so yeah. So shout out to Knicks for life for that, man. Appreciate you, brother. Love you, brother. JJ is in the building. What's good, man? So I felt compelled to do this. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait until Sunday for Old School Knicks to do this. I have to do this right now in the moment while I'm really in my feeling about a guy that meant so much to me, a man that meant so much to me and little kids in the New York tri-state area that watched him play. So let me first tell you this. Nobody expected Willis Reed to be anything. Willis Reed was a second-round pick from a small school, undersized, right? He just played hard. Right? Willis Reed, think about what I'm saying. Willis Reed, nobody expected any greatness out of Willis Reed. At least the shorties, at least cats my age didn't. We didn't know. He was like, we used to always be like, give such and such the ball. That's when little kids, right? You know, when you see fancy dribbling and long jump shots and all that stuff, we used to be like, I wish he would just give such and such the ball. Right. But as you go from age 5 to age 6 to age 7, you realize that Willis Reed is more than a second round pick, undersized center from a small school. He is more than that. He's a leader. Right? He's a leader. And he was a leader during a turbulent time. Right? He was a leader during a very turbulent time in America, where a lot of things, and I know that the farther we get away from it, the more we dismiss it out of hand. But race relations were not good then, right? They could be better now, but back then it was terrible. And Willis Reed, the leader of a moribund franchise, taking over the franchise after other all-time Knicks greats like the Maguires and Richie Guerin and all those guys, right? After all those guys, you know, come and gone, after the late 50s into the 60s, the Knicks were just another franchise. So you draft Willis thinking, yo, Uncle Fulio was in the building. Shout out to Uncle Fulio. So you draft Willis not because you think he's going to be the next Wilt Chamberlain or the next Bill Russell. You draft him thinking, maybe he'll come in and play hard. Maybe he'll be a good starter. Maybe, you know, he can hang around for 5 or 6 years. And while it seems ridiculous with me saying it, you don't draft a franchise savior in the second round. You just don't. Not with intentions. You don't wait. You don't take a gamble. You just don't. Right? So Willis gets here, and this is the part that I'm speaking to you from a secondhand account, right? Because I wasn't born in 65, 66, 67. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even a twinkle in nobody's eye yet. Well, I'll probably have a twinkle in the eye, but but not around yet. But my uncles and them used to tell me that big men during that era didn't like to play against Willis. The Wilt Chamberlains didn't like playing against Willis Reed. The Bill Russells didn't like playing against Willis Reed. Right? They didn't like playing against him because, for one, he was tough and fair. And we don't, in this society, you don't get tough and fair anymore. Right? You get agendas now, selfishness, incorporation. You get that now, right? Some players are bigger than the franchise that they play for. But back then, Willis Reed believed in team and brotherhood. And commitment and loyalty. Right? Willis Reed was that dude that would come to you and have that hard man-to-man talk that people kind of shy away from now. We don't have talks like that anymore. Willis Reed was kind of like that guy. And this is what my uncles and them told me. I wasn't around for this. This is what my uncles and them used to tell me. They like, yeah, Willis was the captain for a reason. The coach, Red Holtzman, could go to Willis and have Willis Reed, the captain, resolve certain internal team issues as opposed to the coaches doing it. You don't necessarily get that anymore, in our text message society or our social media subtweets with leadership. You don't get that no more. Jeremy, what's good, man? So why does Willis Reed mean something to me? I'll be honest with you. Don't know if Lawrence Tibbs would be here if it were not for Willis Reed. I don't know. I can't say that it would be. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. It's like the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows, but you do it together. Willis Reed was so good of a leader and player at the same time that he won the league MVP despite his team being a young team. Let me just put it that way. He won the league MVP the year the Knicks won the NBA title, right? But here's the thing. They didn't give Willis Reed didn't earn the league MVP based on the Knicks winning the title. Willis Reed earned league MVP for intangibles, right? If you're a Knicks fan and you're maybe too young to understand who Willis Reed is, forget Willis Reed walking out the tunnel. Forget that. That's a moment. That's a flashpoint, right? That was the pinnacle of his media standing. But there was 7 to 8 years before that this dude was a top 3, top 4, top 5 player in the league. Not off talent, but off desire. DB in the building. Hey, I see you. I see you, boss. Keith Turner's in the building. All right. Jeremy, what's good? Dripmore, I see you. Willis Reed was that player that helped turn the franchise around, right? The Knicks drafted okay over the years in the 60s. They wound up getting Windmill Phil. They wound up getting Clyde Frazier. They wound up getting Willis Reed, a few other players, some through trade, and all that stuff. But the point that I'm getting at is if you're a Knicks fan and you saw the news that Willis Reed passed away, it should, I'm not going to tell you how to feel, but what I'm going to say is consider these options. When you think about Willis Reed, don't think about an old retired player from back in the day that people keep saying his name to keep his name relevant. No. Willis had been, from what I've seen, right? From what I've seen, from what I've seen, Willis had been ill for a long time. Right? Willis had been ill for a long time. Why he couldn't make the trip for the 75th anniversary. Right? How come he wasn't around the franchise that he loved for as much as he wanted to be around the franchise that he loved? He had been sick for a while. And for that reason, I say, for that reason, I didn't say this sad occasion because I don't know. I know I'm sad, right? I know I'm saddened by it, but that's my personal thing. We don't know specifically what he had been going through, really. All we do is remember the young man as we appreciate the old man. I remember Willis Reed being tough. And even though he's not from New York City, he embodied everything New York City was about. Right? Tough but humble. Right? Hardworking. Grounded. Right? Some of the Knicks that came after him came in under his wing. And quite frankly, I'm in that next gen era. Right? I'm in that next gen era. Right? I'm in that next gen group of fans and players that came along when Willis Reed was a veteran. Right? When Willis was a veteran, when after Willis won the league MVP, after he won a championship or two. You know, I was around that time, I was like 6 years old. So I don't remember everything exactly the way it happened. Excuse me, but I do remember some stuff. I do remember my love and adore. Man, listen, I legit love and adore. Almost can't live without Clyde Frazier. Right? Clyde Frazier, and listen, this is about Willis, but I'm gonna get to a point. My love for Clyde Frazier is never ending, never ceasing. Right? I won't retire my love for Clyde Frazier. Right? But part of that is because Clyde Frazier came to New York from a small school, from being born down south, came to the city and struggled, and Willis Reed put Clyde under his wing. Put Clyde under his wing. Clyde Frazier didn't just dance his way into the hearts and minds of New Yorkers, people from the tri-state area like myself, representing Jersey City and other places close to the Garden. He was a young guy that struggled. Willis Reed had him under his wing, and Clyde blossomed with the help of Willis and other vets. The Willis Reeds. If there was a guy, personality-wise, if there was a guy, I don't know if there's a leader in basketball right now that can compare to Willis Reed personally. Like how in most cases I can say Dave DeBusschere was the 1970s version of Draymond Green. Like Dave DeBusschere was legit the 1970s version of Draymond Green, right? Dave DeBusschere was a very good athlete, even though he didn't look like it, right? Even though he didn't look like JoJo White, he didn't look like Calvin Murphy, he didn't look like JoJo White, he didn't look like Dr. J, he didn't look like David Thompson, right? But he was a pretty good athlete. He used to pitch for the Detroit Pistons. Or was it the White Sox? It's one of them. I mean, not pitch for the Pistons, but the Tigers. Same thing. Both of them suck. But Willis took a Tom Thibodeau type coach and Red Holzman, a guy stuck in his ways, a guy where you want to iron will guy, and was the go-to between coaching and players. The captain was that. He was the captain representing the players to the coaches, and he was the captain representing the coaches to the players. And he did it with class and ease. Was he smooth with the media like Earl the Pearl? No. For instance, with Earl the Pearl, a smile was worth $100. You know what I'm saying? With Earl the Pearl, a smile was worth $100. Every time Earl the Pearl smiled, you just cut the check. You know what I'm saying? Was he street smooth like Clyde? Right? No, he was not that. What Willis Reed was, and what his legacy is being the glue guy, the bring everybody together guy. That was him. Was he as talented as Hakeem Olajuwon? No. Did he have a lethal weapon like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? No. Was he extremely skilled like Wilt Chamberlain? No. But the things Willis Reed did have and did bring to the table are the things that you want in your organization in order for your organization to be successful. Got to have it. Got to have it. You got to have the guy. You got to have the man that's not afraid to have those talks. When one of the soldiers gets out of line, the lieutenant come to that soldier and be like, hey, man, you out of line here. Tighten up. What can I help you? What can I do to help you tighten up? Get your S together. That was Willis. From what I'm told by my uncles and them. They loved Willis Reed. They loved Willis Reed, man. My uncles and them would talk about Willis. When I'd be talking about Clyde Frazier, they'd be like, yeah, Clyde good, but without Willis, we ain't winning nothing. And you know what? For the most part, they were probably right. Right? For the most part, they were probably right. Ernesto was in the building. Salute to Bricks Nation. So again, why is it important for me to come out and say these things when I know all over the press people are going to say the nicest things about Willis, and they're going to talk about he was an all-star, he was an MVP, he got his number retired, he was the finals MVP. Listen, I get all of that stuff. Right? And those things did occur. These things are truths. They are truths. Right? But I'm speaking from the position of experience. Like what players like Willis Reed means to your franchise is beyond what you can measure in cachet. What Willis Reed is to the Knicks is what a Bill Russell is to the Boston Celtics. What Willis Reed is to the Knicks is what a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is to the Los Angeles Lakers. And when I say this, hear me out, because I'm only going to give 2 or 3 examples. That means what he means to us is what a lot of franchises don't have. Yo, happy birthday to Mr. Rocket. What's good? What's good, baby boy? What's good, Mr. Rocket in the building? Happy birthday, boss. Jay Boogie in the building. Jay Boogie, thank you for the generous contribution. Jay Boogie says, Mr. Grambling State, Mr. Willis Reed. Not enough words to describe his legendary icon, leader, a statue to this game we love. Your legacy will always be carried. Love you, Captain. Rest in heaven. Mr. Grambling State University, Mr. Willis Reed. Not enough words to describe him. Legendary icon, leader, a statue to this game we love. Your legacy will always be carried. Love you, Cap. Rest in heaven. Danny Landis is in the building. He says, rip to the Captain Willis Reed. For sure. And Wiz says, when I met and spoke to Patrick Ewing one morning at the old Pink Teacup Cafe in the Village, having brunch, Willis was a template of leadership he respected and admired. Bim. Exactly, man. That's one of those things that I want to ensure that I pass along as this video will stay on YouTube for as long as YouTube is here. And it's my homage to somebody I think is a forgotten legend, which is impossible because if you're a legend, how can you be forgotten? Right? But in today's space, with times moving so fast, and you get instant heroes, you get microwave heroes often, microwave hero after microwave hero, right? We forget that some guys legit are legendary heroes. They're gone but not forgotten. Alawai says the captain was respected by white and blue collar black man at the time when black was a proud power, much needed in our communities, but more important, had the respect of all people for his character. Otherwise, that is, hey, listen, that encapsulates everything that I wanted to say, and I'm so glad that you typed it out and said it. Right? I'm so glad that you typed it out and said it. Because Willis Reed came from a very racially troubled place. He was from Louisiana in the 1950s and 60s. I don't have to explain to you what times were like that for minorities, for black people, for black men, for black women, for black children who at times may have not even believed in having a future, who probably didn't have a future, didn't think they had a future. But you look up from a guy from a small town, a small parish in Louisiana, goes to the biggest media market in the world, probably at the time, and thrives. Right? Not just on the floor, but in general. Show you that leadership can be innate, right? Leadership can be innate, and at the same time, you can put your leadership out there. You could put your leadership out there, and some will be offended, but realize that the greater good is being impacted in a positive way with his presence. GI says, Rip Frat Omega. Okay, I see you. Hashtag the captain. And so I say all of that because of his community impact, his organizational impact. So now let's talk about the impact on the floor a little bit. The impact on the floor. I remember Willis Reed for being tough, right? That's all I remember because I was a kid. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and yo, I was breaking down basketball at 4 years old. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? I tell you often that I started loving basketball first, going outside playing with my friends, shooting in milk cartons, cause the street dudes was on the blacktop. So all the shorties, we had to shoot on milk cartons nailed to the telephone pole. We started doing that first, and then the bigger we got, then we slowly moved to the court as we got better, right? So I loved basketball first, and then I loved the Harlem Globetrotters second. And I'm not going to talk about Meadowlark Lemon and Curly Neal. What I'm going to talk about is how I got to Madison Square Garden. How I got to the Garden. How I got to the Garden. Now, mind you, when I started going to the Garden, the Knicks had just started playing there at Madison Square. I don't remember the year. I don't know the year exactly. All I remember is the buzz was, yo, it's like a Reese cup. It's like chocolate and peanut butter. You get the best of both worlds. You get the Garden and the Knicks at the same time. That's all I remember. Like, that was people's feeling. You get the best of both worlds. You get the Knicks and you get Madison Square Garden together. So I go to the Garden to see the Harlem Globetrotters. And little kids, we still wiping confetti off of our clothes because the Globetrotters' big point guard took a big thing of confetti and threw it on us. We thought it was water, but it wound up being confetti. He tricked us. But anyway, walking out, we walked past Knicks players, and all I can remember is looking up in the sky. I mean, looking up in the sky at Willis Reed and Clyde Frazier and some other Knicks. Probably Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was listen, we gonna have to start putting respect on Phil Jackson's name as a player. Because as a player, he was like Jericho Sims without the hops. Jericho Sims without the hops was Phil Jackson. All arms and legs, just chopping you to death like a windmill. Right? So I look up in the sky at Clyde Frazier. I'm looking at him. I don't even know who he is at this point. I'm looking up in the sky at Willis Reed. I don't even know who he is. Right? You know how they do, they shake your hand and they rub you on the head, you're a little shorty, whatever. Yeah, hey shorty, you know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah, boom, 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 where you from? Jersey City, yeah, you know. And they laugh at, yeah, I used to date a girl from Jersey City. You know, they telling their little grown-up jokes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I see Clyde and I'm like, I like this dude off rip. I see Willis and Willis make me nervous. Like, man, this dude looked tough. This dude looked like he could just beat up the world. That was every time I saw Willis Reed, he looked like that guy that can clear out a ballroom in a ballroom brawl. Right? That's what he looked like to me. And over the years, a lot of that stuff gets taken away as you get older and your health starts to decline and, things start to happen and you're not that invincible person anymore. You are somebody or you're that person that used to be somebody back in the day. Right? Willis Reed to this generation, sadly, is that person that is somebody that used to be everything back in the day. But as time marches on, so does his legacy. His legacy dims the further away from his prime we get. And so, Willis Reed, if you listening to this, and I'm sure you're busy right now, right? I'm sure you're busy doing other stuff right now, Willis Reed. But if you happen to be listening, thank you for your contribution to little kids in a tri-state area that grow up to be big kids that host shows on YouTube. Thank you for being a leader and a captain when a team and a city needed a leader and a captain. Willis Reed, thank you for all the stuff that you did on the floor. And trust me, we know you never went home with anything because you left everything out on the floor. Willis Reed took nothing home because he left everything out on the floor. And so we thank you for that, Cap. If you're listening, and I know you're probably busy doing other stuff right now, stuff that's more important, right? But if you happen to catch this, there are thousands and thousands of Willis Reed fans that will never forget how you impacted us personally and as fans. With that said, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. But before I do, I want to say I'm proud to announce the partnership with Bet Online. Go to a Bet Online and use the code word Blarns to get a members only discount. Go to Bet Online to get a members only discount. I'll have some fancy graphics for y'all on that in a little while. So thank you to y'all for listening to me and rocking with me. I know it wasn't the sexiest presentation. It was just basically an old man babbling on and on about old school Knicks and how they impact us. But I had to get this out of my system because some stuff is not worth taking to the grave, and this is one of them. Salute to the Saints, the ones that came before us and paved the way. Want to give them their flowers while they living, right? Not on top of the dirt that's on top of them. Thank y'all for checking me out, man. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.